Saturday. I'm doing my intuition video today. Hope everybody had a really good Thanksgiving. It was our son's birthday, so we did not do Thanksgiving this year. We celebrated his 14th birthday, which was a lot of fun actually to do. That meant no cooking on our part, very relaxing day, and getting to do whatever a 14-year-old wants to do. So that was our Thanksgiving day. And then yesterday was just kind of a day of relaxation and dance. I did a lot of dancing and hanging out with family. And so today I am going to talk about beliefs and our intuition. I've been talking about this all year. And emotional intelligence, they all are intertwined. And we're really in a place right now in society of another big shift. And I feel like it's similar to the turn of the century when we were shifting out of, now I wasn't here, so I say we as in humanity, shifting out of using horses into using cars, into new technology. We are in that same similar shift now. And our belief systems really are a part of where we are, where we're going, and whether or not we're really listening to our intuition. So I've said over and over again, I believe that our intuition is constantly trying to nudge us, that's its job, nudge us to our well-being. And a lot of times our beliefs are in the way of that, not all of them, but if we are not examining our own beliefs, if we are not taking the time to really examine what are our beliefs, then we're living a life just in default. We really are just kind of out doing life however life comes to us. I actually grew up with a lot of people who really did believe more that life just kind of happens to you and we're living more in default. My aunt actually, who just passed away, did not really believe that. She really was, in my family, someone who thought forward and believed you could create your own life and your own thoughts and you had choices. It was the first time I really heard that was from her. And our thinking, and I've said this before, our beliefs are just thoughts repeated over and over and over again. That's not my terminology. It's stuff I've listened to through many different speakers that I listen to that talk about intuition, but that's the gist of it. So our thoughts can be, these can be repeated thoughts over generations. And so the idea today, and this is what I have been doing, is really examining my beliefs and how important it is. And a lot of them are passed on to us in our environment when we're born, in our society and our culture. We also see them in examples. We find it in evidence. Evidence-based beliefs are huge through science and doctors. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard people say that the doctors told them they had something that wasn't treatable, and then now it's treatable. So that is a constant changing belief in our medicine, and we are in a rapid growth in that in our society now. So a lot of those areas are we getting stuck in some of these beliefs. And so taking a look at them is super important as we shift in this society so that you don't feel left behind. I think there's a lot of people who are feeling left behind in a lot of change that's happening in our world and our society, especially the older generations. I would say the baby boomers and older are really struggling, some of them, with because there's a lot of old beliefs right now that don't work and they are not working with the younger generations. They don't work with my generation. And so because the baby boomers and the silent generation was given that name because they didn't like to talk about things, weren't really reflective in their generation. We're having all these reflective generations come forward, generations behind me that are emotionally intelligent. It's challenging. It's not accepting some of these old ways of living and beliefs that our grandparents and great-grandparents lived in. And so if we don't sit back and really look at our own beliefs and where we come from and are these working for us anymore and what are my beliefs, and to kind of separate those out, there is a feeling of being left behind. I don't know any other way to put it, but so I've done this intuition video since January 1st of 2019, partly because of that feeling of being left behind, like not wanting to be left behind and change, and wanting to grow and change myself as the world and society is changing and growing. And so I encourage everybody to like take the time at the end of this year, like we're at the end of 2019, where it's a time of reflection. It's a time of looking at ourselves, like what are our beliefs? Who were our examples that showed us our beliefs? Like, and then letting our own intuition, once we do that, like my experience is once I've done that, it really allows my own intuition to pull forward and have my own vision of what my beliefs are. And we can change our beliefs. If these aren't working for us, if certain beliefs aren't working for us, we can change them. I'll tell you like kind of one thing that, a lot of people have this belief. I'm from Arizona. Hey, I see some of you Arizona people there too, but in my family, a lot of people in Arizona didn't think it was possible to move to California and sustain living in California. That was like a general belief in my family. And since my junior year in high school, I wanted to move to San Diego. And so every time I'd bring it up, though, my family would be like, oh, yeah, it's not going to happen. It's so expensive in California. Can't afford it. And I'd hear a whole bunch of belief systems thrown at me that for a while sat with me. And from 17 to 23, I didn't move, didn't come to San Diego State yet, but early 20s, when I really, really wanted to come here, I had to change some of those old beliefs. I could not listen to that belief anymore. I had to start believing in a new thought process. And that was, for example, I started trusting my intuition that I wanted to do this. I started being open to new ideas of moving to San Diego, things that were not being taught to me growing up. And bam, like 24 years old, I got offered a job to move to California, got to stay here, and have oftentimes wrestled with that old belief of staying here even because it's been so implanted into my head that, oh, I can't make it in California because those Californians are so expensive over there. I mean, it was just really outrageous. And I live in my favorite area of San Diego, and I have been able to stay living here for 25 years. So I'm going to say my experience is showing me that I could move to California and stay here. But if I listened to that old belief, I wouldn't be here. I would have stayed there. And so that's just a little example, I think, of listening to old beliefs and being able to discard beliefs that don't work for me and then be able to pick up new beliefs. So I hope you got something out of it. Oh, a big part of the book that I've been doing with the gals that I work with on our belief systems and intuition is this Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. We love it. I do love it. I'm such a reader. I encourage you, if you're doing any of this intuition work, have something that you're working on that keeps regrooving our brain towards listening to our intuition. This is a new book I'm on, but I've done The Game of Life and How to Play It. There's a whole, I listed 10 of the books that I did over the last few years, but this is the new one. I highly recommend it. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Check those beliefs. Are they useful to you? Are you feeling like you're being left behind? That's a really good question. I think if you ever feel like you're lost or feel like you're being left behind in what's going on in the world right now, or even in your little micro world, like we live in little micro worlds, if you're feeling left behind, check your belief systems and start talking about that. Now, I'm going to say one last thing because this popped into my head. Our environment is super important when we do this work. Super, super important when we do this work. If you are hanging out with or surrounding yourself with people who are complainers, angry, pissed off at what's going on in the world, not making any changes, don't talk to them about this because it's not going to help you. Try to find some people who are looking forward. They're wanting to be reflective. They are checking their own beliefs. They're out there. These people are out there. So that was my last suggestion when you do this work. Have a great weekend. I'll be back next week. And I have about one more month of these videos. And then I don't know what I'm going to do for 2020. But it's been really fun doing these, keeping me on track. And I'll see you next week. Bye.